Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q2 FY22 earnings conference call of V-Guard Industries Limited, hosted by IIFL Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Renu Baid from IIFL Securities Limited. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Steve. A very good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of IIFL Securities, I would like to welcome the management of V-Guard Industries with us today. We have with us from the management Mr. Mithun Chittilapalli, Managing Director, Mr. V. Ramachandran, Director and Chief Operating Officer, and Mrs. Darshan Kasturi, Senior VP and CFO. I would now like to hand over the call to Mithun for his opening remarks on the strong performance for the quarter, after which we start with the Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, Mithun, for your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very warm welcome to everyone present, and thank you very much for joining us today to discuss the operating and financial performance of our company for the quarter ended 30th September 2021. With the threat of pandemic receding, I hope all of you, along with your family and friends, are keeping safe and well. I wish you a happy Diwali in advance and look forward to a prosperous New Year for all of us. During the second quarter, we have executed well to pick up further on the growth momentum seen in Q1 to post our highest quarterly turnover that exceeded 900 crores. Our top line grew 46%, of which price growth contributed about 20% and volume growth made up for about 26%. Performance was driven by improving consumer demand across the country as markets reopened after the second wave and lockdowns in April and May. We continue to see the key theme of consumer preference for quality, innovation, and service-driven products remaining intact as the country reverts to normal growth rates. For V-Guard, Q2 growth was based with positive contribution coming from all product and geographical segments. South and non-South markets witnessed year-on-year growth of 44.9% and 48.8% respectively. Non-South markets contributed 39.4% of total revenues in Q2 as compared to 38.8% in the same quarter last year. Faster growth in non-South markets makes the business increasingly more balanced, with higher contribution coming from emerging states within our portfolio. We have committed and continue to make significant investments in developing high-quality products, widespread distribution, and a nationwide brand that is showing up in the performance trends over the last few years. On the product side, our electronics segment, comprising of stabilizer, UPS, and inverters, grew at 22.3% during Q2 on a YoY basis, driven by higher demand for appliances and growing need for continuous power access. In the electrical segment, which is our largest revenue contributor, comprising of wires, pumps, switches, and modular switches, we registered a growth of 46.8%. In the consumer durable segment, where we market fans, water heaters, kitchen appliances, and air coolers, Q2 revenues grew by 71% YoY. While the growth was broad-based, the sharp increase in input costs had some impact on gross margins, which came lower by 64 basis points at 30.9% during Q2. While we have taken pricing actions to offset a major part of the cost inflation, some actions will follow in the ensuing months. EBITDA margins were at 10.4% compared with 12.0% in Q2 FY21. A&P spends were higher than Q2 of last year by 1% of turnover as our brand investments returned to normative levels. Profit after tax increased by 18.1% to 59.1 crore. Net profit margin was at 6.5% as against 8.1% in Q2 of FY21. During H1, there has been an increase in working capital as we maintain higher inventory levels to mitigate supply chain risk. Further, receivables are now fully back to normative levels with Q2 closing inventory at 41 days of revenues. We have now capitalized our subsidiary V-Guard Consumer Products Limited that will focus on expanding our in-house manufacturing setup, thereby reducing reliance of imports and outsourcing, creating greater efficiencies in our supply chain. Going forward, we look to maintain the momentum, driving revenue growth and margin expansion. We remain confident that the strength of our brand, distribution, and products would allow constant traction and drive stakeholder value expansion. With that, I conclude my opening remarks, and I would like to thank you once again for your participation and would like to hand over the floor to the moderator for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ankur Sharma from HDFC Standard Life Insurance. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, Mithun. Thanks for your time and congrats on a great set of numbers. Couple of questions. One, on the wires, which I assume is the one primarily in the electrical segment. How much would be the volume and the value growth? Yeah?
In the wire segment, I think roughly the value growth or the price growth itself is about 40%.
Okay.
Sudarshan, what would be the volume growth?
Volume growth will be about 5%, 5 to 6%.
5% is the volume growth.
Yeah. Okay. Got that. Okay. Second, two segments specifically, both fans and water heaters. I think water heaters have done very, very well, especially when I compare to last year. I think we had some supply issues there. So is it us taking market share once again? I think you've been highlighting this for some time now. And also on the fan side, again, I think sales, almost doubling over last year. So is it again the new factory that we set up? So if you could talk about both these segments in a little bit more detail.
See, water heater, last year our performance was impacted because of, we had supply disruptions from our plant.
Yeah.
This year also we had some issues, but it is of a lesser degree. So we have got back some of the market share we have lost. That's as far as water heater is concerned. As far as fans is concerned, yes, we have, starting with our new plant in Uttarakhand, we have launched some new ranges, which are doing extremely well. And they are in the more premium segment. So the realization is also high.
Okay, fair. And just on the margins in the durable segment, we kind of seems to be a little low, at 3%. Historically, it's been in that 5-7% kind of range. So is it some delayed price hikes here, which you now take, and which segment is driving that lower margin on the durable side?
Yeah, I think there has been some lag in price hikes as far as the durable segment is concerned. There is some lagging in the fan, and water heater segment. Whereas kitchen appliances price hikes have been at par with the, input increases. I think in the following quarters, especially with fans, starting with Q4, when the season starts again, we should come back to normative levels. Ram, you want to supplement anything?
Yeah, I think that is correct. I think fan and water heater, there is, lag in price transmission. I think in water heater, in fan, for example, we also have TPW, which is being imported, and, we have a plan to, move to domestic manufacturing and, to mitigate, the input pressures, arising out of, freight and, the tariffs that have been put in place. Yeah. So I think this is transitionary. I mean, also I think, we continue to have challenges with our water heater factory. I think although we have seen, very good gains relatively, this.
Hello?
It seems we have lost him.
Sorry, can I go ahead? Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Mr. Sharma?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, you may please proceed.
Yeah, please go ahead. I can hear you. Yeah.
Ram, are you there?
I think call has dropped.
Maybe we can move to the next question. When he comes back, he can continue.
Mr. Ram is connected, sir. Mr. Ram, can you hear us?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I think I got dropped off. What I wanted to say is there are no strategic issues. I think there is a delayed price lag. There is a bit of delay in our ability to immediately respond to the challenges on TPW fan, for which we have already put the response mechanism in place, which is what Mithun was referring to. And I think there are some one-off costs which would be there connected with our water heater operations, as we have supply chain challenges with the factory being remote. So I think these are some of the issues. I think they should pass. We don't see any what I would say long-term challenge in both these areas.
There is also higher A&P this year compared to last year. For durables, it's about 2% difference in terms of EBIT margin.
Okay.
I think also for everybody also there is a lag in so I think there is a general lag in these two categories compared to other categories in the rate of transmission.
Okay. And just one last one, if I may, on the end demand, how is that panning out? I mean, we did hear from some of your peers there was some softness in September, but things seem to be kind of getting back on track as we get into the festive. So if you could talk about, what are you seeing in your end markets, and also, how the whole festive is going on?
Yeah. Ram, you want to take this?
Yeah. I think demand side is quite fine. I think holding out well. I think of course there are if you look at our overall portfolio, right? So I think in the stabilizer category like air conditioner, we wait to see for regular summer season, and that's true for all summer products where we can see better demand closer to the category reality. There are the builder segment driven categories like wires, switches and switchgear. I think here again demand has picked up, but demand normalization is also dependent on how the activity on that side is progressing. Input costs in those areas like wire and all has gone up 40%, as also other products have gone. So I think that part. On the consumption side, I think by and large I think the demand is fine. I think consumption side is holding quite all right, and I think we expect this to be maintained going into the festive season, right? So
got that. Okay, great, sir. Yep, all the best. Thank you so much. Yep.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Bhartiya from Investec. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Mithun. Mithun, we have seen a fairly strong revenue growth as well as volume growth this quarter. Was it in any way driven by channel filling or pre-buying, or do you think that secondary sales themselves would have been this strong?
No, for us, there is absolutely no, channel filling. You can see our debtor days have actually, come down from June. What essentially happened is, if you look at Q1, our performance was slightly below par. That's primarily because 3 of our large markets, Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, continued to be shut even, towards the end of June. So obviously those markets have responded fast. If you see, South India itself has grown at 44% on a very high base. So that itself shows the kind of, growth we have had. It's purely, consumer demand driven. The different companies have different market shares and different revenue shares from different regions of the country. So depending on how these things reopen, we will all at different points of time have different growth rates. So maybe if you look at H1 numbers, we should be largely in line with peers.
Understood. That makes sense. And when we speak about the next couple of quarters, how are you really seeing this demand shaping up? Do you think that, let's say, a double-digit kind of revenue growth can be possible in the next 2 quarters, given that we had some pent-up demand benefits during the same quarters last year?
Sudarshan, you want to take this?
Yeah, I mean, it's the threat of the COVID is receding, so therefore if there is no third wave, hopefully there is not, double-digit turnover growth should be possible.
Okay. Okay. And the last bit, what kind of incremental price hikes do you think you'll require in wires category as well as all of the categories put together to completely pass on the material cost inflation, assuming that material costs stabilize where they are today?
So wire anyway, the whole industry, has a very dynamic pricing, so depending on how the copper moves, it can be even, 2 weeks to 3 weeks, there can be changes in prices. So we are not very worried much about wires, because there is a lot of proactive price increases that is taken by all brands, because, margins in that category are not that high. So most companies have realized that it's better to, increase and decrease as the copper prices move. So, for example, we have just, even with the recent spike in copper, that also seems to be fully passed on to the market. Whereas other categories, depending on the category, there are some lag, like we've mentioned. Kitchen is largely okay. I think price increases are sufficient. I think water heater and fans, there should, more price increases are required. Ram, you want to supplement this?
Yeah, I think, Mithun, broadly, I think we are in a good place, and I think, further increases, are being rolled out, as the price increases are, materializing on the input side. I think fan and water heater is where the major gap is. This also, actions are happening over the next 3-4 months. So I think, if you look at us today, I think, last quarter, if you look at our last quarter numbers, right, I think you would roughly see a 2.5 to 3% gap, right, depending on which categories you look at, right? That's the kind of gap we are sitting. I think this gap should progressively vanish over the next, 2 to 3 quarters, depending on, the market situation and the, situation on inputs, right? Because some of the inputs are still moving forward, right? So what's happening is, even as we are correcting for some new changes happening, the significance, of the increase, is quite large. It's easy to transmit in most categories, which are functional. So wire and all, we've had no challenge. There are categories which there is a standard pricing discipline, and it's happening. The key challenges arising in consumer durables, right? Again, the operating models of different companies are different, right? So if you look at some of us, we have a blend of distribution and direct selling to retail, right? And that mixes, what I would say, more skewed towards direct selling to retailers, as opposed to competitors, right? So the inventory of older price in the market, right, is at a different state and stage in each company. So I think the markets are a bit disturbed also. That's one part of it. And the second part of it is that, all of us are, what I would say, passing on the increases with a lag. And many of the categories are seasonal, right? So, it's also difficult to correct prices outside of season, right? And generally, in season or as the season is commencing, it's a lot more easier to land the price changes. So these are some of the factors which are affecting the timing of transmission. Yeah? Categories like kitchen and all are fine, no major issues. So it's really, I think, fan and water heater, which is what needs to be, transmitted, right? So.
Understood, sir. And for wires, when you say completely pass on the cost increase, do you look at absolute contribution that you make on a, let's say, per ton basis, or you always kind of, for your calculations, you look at margins to be maintained? Percentage margins or the absolute?
Yeah, so generally we try to maintain margins in wire, right? So generally we try to maintain margins in wire. But this is also a market. See, there is a short-term factor and there is a long-term factor, right? The long-term management of margin is generally related to, what I would say, we try to maintain our percentages, right? In the short term, I mean, it's a competitive market and different views can be taken by different people. But for now, I think the way, it is trending and tracking, thus far we have been able to protect our margins, that is, as a percentage of revenue. Yeah?
Understood. That's very helpful. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Rahul Agarwal from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Mithun, Ram and Sudarshan. Thank you for the opportunity. Just quick 3 questions. Firstly, any change to the capex outlook? I think we discussed 200 crores for 3 years, fiscal 22, 23, 24. Any change to this, provided now you've capitalized the new company?
The plans remain the same. No changes there.
Okay, got it. Secondly, on this Kerala floods, any negative impact this quarter, the current quarter?
No, this time I think as of now, it's only a very small part of, the state. There were some, small amount of flooding, and there was also flooding in Uttarakhand, where some of our suppliers have got impacted. But it's not very large. The impact is not very large. It is not like the floods which were more widespread, 2-3 years back. So I wouldn't say there is any material impact as of now.
Got it. Perfect. And yeah, the third question is already answered. Thank you so much, and happy Diwali to the V-Guard family. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Achal Lohade from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon and congratulations for the great numbers. My question is, when you talk about a delayed price increase in case of water heater and fan, now I do hear, with respect to fans, it's off season, so it's a little difficult to pass on. But what about water heater? What is driving the delay in cost inflation, and is the cost inflation much higher for us compared to the peers, specifically for the water heater?
Ram, you want to take this?
Yeah. No, I think it's not very different for us compared to others. Yeah. I think there are multiple factors as far as water heater is concerned, right? So one thing is, we continue to have challenges to get the right output to the scale and quantity and mix that we need out of our new plant. See, this plant was commissioned, right in the midst of, wave 1 of COVID. And last year, in the season, we had, 2 months of shutdown. And this year also, what has happened is the area around the factory, went under lockdown, and we lost about 15 odd days. There have been heavy rains, and the roads have been blocked, and we lost 1 to 2 weeks of time in that also. So I think we've lost production time, and because of COVID and COVID-related actions, right? Even our new product commercializing in that factory has got impacted. So there is an impact on product mix. Some of our high value water heaters, we have not been able to sell. So I think that's one issue. Yeah. Second issue, is there is a general lag in input cost transmission in the water heater industry, and this is true for us and for our competitors, not unique or specific to us, right? And what's happening is, even as we are passing, one set of increases, another set of increases getting triggered. So mind you, I think we would overall, right? If you look at, we would overall have transmitted anywhere from 18 to 20% increase, including wire, and on non-wire categories, close to about 10% of correction has already been passed, between November of last year and maybe let's say August or September, right? So this is a continuous process. These categories are not used to frequent increase in transmission, right? So it's a bit of a challenge, and even as we speak, ahead of the season, we have even as we speak, we have announced one more round of correction, right? But again, there are further increases in input costs, which have happened, as we speak, last month and early part of this month, right? In some of the commodities, and they will find reflection, a couple of months down the line, in our BOM and in the pricing in the market. So I think these are, and then there may be some, one-off costs, in the supply chain side, related to storing, movement, and all that, given some of the challenges, post-COVID that are arising, yeah, in Sikkim, right? And even the kind of utilization of the plant that we would have wanted to have, we have not been able to have. So it's, portion of it is, what I would say, our own internal challenges, and portion of it is related to, delay in transmission of prices. Mithun, anything else, you would like to add, or Sudarshan?
No, I think there is nothing unique for us vis-a-vis competitors. There is a lag, and it is not that companies don't want to increase prices. These categories are not used to this kind of quantum of increase, 10-20% over 1 year. So it takes some time. and there is continuous increases happening. So that is also one of the reasons. But I think it should normalize. I think there are some encouraging signs that commodity, prices have peaked. We are seeing some correction in copper as we speak. So I think we should be good.
Right. Is it also to do with the competitive intensity, because we are seeing many players are entering into same categories and with reasonable brand strength and focusing on these larger categories?
I wouldn't. I mean, that's not a new issue. That issue has been there for the last 4-5 years. So water heater as a category, those kind of issues have already manifested, even before COVID. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't ascribe that to this, because even in fans there is a delay in price increases. So it's not only water heater; the same applies for fans as well.
So Mithun, a category like kitchen, for example, right, which is equally competitive and has a large number of players, the pricing transmission has happened there, right? So I think it's not related to that. I think it's basically related to the category factors, right? See, what happens is it's not before May or June that the channel is starting to buy. Maybe June, right, is when the channel is starting to buy for the new season. Now, how much increase can be passed, and we get out of the season somewhere in the selling in part of it, after 15th or 20th of December. The selling into the trade is stopping, right? And the entire series of increases that have happened, they have happened after December, right? So input side. So actually from end of November onwards is when the input prices have started to go up. So I think these increases will get passed in stages, right? So some increases have happened as we started the season, started the pre-selling to the season. Some increases are happening within the season, so it's a journey, I think, but even as we are doing this, there were another set of increases in May, June, July. Then there is now another set of increase in September, October. So some, when we look at the basket of commodities which is going into the product, the increase is progressive, right? So I think that's the reason why probably there is a bit more challenge here.
Understood. You talked about some one-off cost related to supply chain. Can you elaborate a little bit? What is the impact, and is that the
No, I'm just saying that we may add. For example, our warehouse has been taken over to be converted into a COVID center, right? So we have to run around and take another warehouse, move all the material. So I'm saying these are all very operational things. But the point I'm making is finally small costs are getting loaded, right? So each one of them will add some 0.3%, 0.2%. When they all get added up, they somehow become meaningful. So I'm just saying there are a basket of factors. So there is the product mix issue to some degree. There are some supply chain costs. For example, we would have gone long and stored more materials, or paid more on inventory carrying costs. Those kind of things are also there. Sometimes we are achieving our number selling a lower margin model compared to a higher margin model. That's going to dilute our mix and it's going to have an impact. So these kind of things are also happening. So I think there is some bit of, let us say, if you have some gap, maybe 25 to 30% of the gap is mix only. When our supply is normal and, when our, flow of activity in the back end is more normal, probably 40 to 45% of, whatever our margin gap is will get addressed in normal course, right? The remaining is what will have to be addressed through transmission.
Understood. This is very helpful, sir. And just clarification on that, by when do you think this will be kind of behind us for the water heater specifically?
See, like Ram mentioned. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, Mithun, go ahead, please.
No, see, this is an extremely seasonal product with Q2 and Q3 accounting for bulk of the sales. So I think right now we are in the middle of the season. I think if we don't have further increases, in commodities, and it looks like it's kind of tapering, the increases are tapering down, we should be able to, pass on the next increases, because during season, if there is a good winter, companies will and they would take the price hikes, because that's when there is an actual demand for the product. Ram?
Yeah, Mithun, I think the part of the journey which is related to the operating efficiency part which I was talking about, and product mix part, I think that will get sorted next year. Yeah. when we are able to, run it more efficiently than what we have been able to do this year. I think the part of pricing transmission, I think definitely, we are looking at some transmission, end of this month also. And hopefully if there are no further increases, I think it should be adequate. Yeah. But we'll see. I think, we have to see. I think we have to see how the input increases in September and October have panned out, right? So some increase in early October and, second fortnight of September in some areas that we have seen there.
Sure. This is very helpful, sir. Thank you so much.
Probably not, those increases might probably not impact, maybe, this quarter, maybe, little closer in December or something like that. I don't know.
Understood. Thank you so much. I'll come back in the queue for.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhavin Vitlani from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So this question is slightly longer term, and it refers to the slide 14 and 15 of your presentation. And there are categories like fans and switches and switch gears where the market share for V-Guard is low single digit. If you could just give us a more 5-year view of what in your view is the aspirational market share for the company over the next 5 years, and or are there any of these categories where after having entered we realize we don't have a right to win and maybe we would like to exit them?
Ram, you want to take this?
Yeah. I think, we can, separately catch up on the long term, right? So it's difficult to discuss the, long-term outlook for so many categories. Yeah. I think a more reasonable view to look at is many of these categories we have entered, I think, over the last, for 5 years. Yeah. And at this stage of the journey, right, our fundamental focus is not revenue, right? Our fundamental focus is to build capabilities, to build the category understanding, category insight, the manufacturing and R&D infrastructure, right? And to, build our product platforms, right? So this is where our focus is, and, put some of these into markets and understand, how they are performing, firm up our commercial operating model. So that's, those are the aspects, for example, when I'm talking about switches, switchgear, switches, then your, air coolers, kitchen, yeah, some of these new categories that we are into, in the last 5 years. So I think the focus of these categories is there, and that's what we have to measure. And our view there is that, we are tracking well there. The second thing that we are focusing on, right, for any consumer business, I think, having a good commercial operating model is a very important part of, growing and building the business, right? So a lot of work and focus that, we are operating on is centered towards building our commercial operating model, right? So we have done a lot of work on supply chain to build a very efficient backend so, we can, shore up the competitiveness of V-Guard. And, I think, if you look at the last 2 years and in the coming 2 to 3 years, you will find that, we are getting into manufacturing in a very, very, very significant manner. I think last board meeting, the board has approved for setting up 2 manufacturing facilities, and the current board meeting again, 2 more facilities have been approved. All of these, and this is following our recent opening of facility for fan and water in the previous 18 months. So fundamentally, we are working hard to build our internal manufacturing capability so that we can make more efficient products. Yeah. I think then that should improve our competitiveness, and that should help to generate fuel for growth, right? The early part of this period, we worked on what I would say on our supply chain capability, became efficient in managing cash, by conserving, improving our working capital efficiencies, right? That's released a lot of money in the last 4 or 5 years, and that's what we have invested into manufacturing and into R&D. So today, gradually we are moving to a scenario where we are owning most of our designs, we are differentiating them so that we can place them better and realize better value. So this is the part that we have worked on, and I think that our focus will fundamentally remain to improve our capability and competitiveness, and that's also what we are doing in the newer categories. Yeah? Now, in terms of our precise goals and objectives on these categories, I think we can take them separately, right? Because there are so many categories and each will have a different path. They have a different starting period. They have different challenges, right? So.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the answer. Just one follow-up on this. Any categories where you are confident of double-digit market share in the next 3 years?
I think, see, we have a double-digit market share in water heater today, and we have in what I would say stabilizers, right? So these are two categories we already have. I think pumps is an area where the space of pumps that we play, we have a decent market share, and wire is also an area. Wire is an area where I think we should be able to get there. I think we should be at 8 to 9% in wires, right? So these are areas that we should be able to get there. Yeah. The other categories, in the next 3 to 4 years, I think may not be looking at a double-digit market share. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking my questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sonali Salgaonkar from Jefferies India. Please go ahead.
So thank you for the opportunity. So my first question is regarding the market shares. Could you please quantify the market shares that you currently enjoy in the key segments such as water heaters, stabilizers, cables and wires, and fans, please?
Sonali, it's there in the presentation.
Okay, sir.
Okay. The last two slides in that should have the market size and our
yes, sir. I'll have a look. Sorry for that. Then, secondly, you mentioned that X of wires, the average cumulative price hike has been about 10% over the past year. So, how much of that was taken in Q2?
I think the Q2 price increase will be limited, right, Sudarshan?
No, it's been happening over a period. I mean, a significant portion would have happened in Q2. I don't have the exact number.
I think so. The 10% is over a period of 8-9 months. So how much of it exactly from Q2 maybe?
Yeah.
I think probably 2-3%, Sudarshan. Probably 2-3%, but I think we should check it, right? So.
No. What we can say is Q2 prices over Q2 of last year is 10%. Okay. No.
Higher.
Yeah. 10% higher. Yeah.
Got it, sir. And lastly, what is the current in-house manufacturing proportion for us? And with fans increasingly getting in-house, where do we expect this proportion to reach in the medium term? That's it from my side.
So Darshan, currently it's about 45, 42?
Yeah, and it's closer to 50 now. It's been going up.
50%. Okay.
We are close to 50.
We are close to 50, and maybe it'll go to about 60 in the next 3 years.
It will, with these projects, we will eventually reach 60.
60-65%, yeah.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Narendra Malshekar from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. My first question is, with the sharp price increases that we have seen in the short time frame, are we seeing any change in customer preferences? Like, are we noticing any down trading in any of their categories?
I think it may be too early to call that. We have not so far experienced something like that. In fact, I think it's a very product-driven market. For example, in the case of fans, our premium segment is growing far faster than our standard segment. So we really are not able to draw a trend like that as of now.
Oh, okay. And secondly, what are the initiatives being taken on new product introductions, and what is the innovation pipeline, and what are the segments or categories that we are targeting? And lastly, any updates on the larger kitchen appliance portfolio where V-Guard was planning to enter in FY22?
Ram, you want to take this?
Yeah. So I think we have a reasonably healthy funnel. Okay, we have a reasonably healthy funnel. To deliver and meet the growth objectives for the coming 2-3 years. I think the challenge really will be how are we able to extract the planned outcomes out of that, and that is a function of also how COVID will move forward, right? We have a decent funnel and cutting across categories, right, to be able to meet and support our growth objectives. When it comes to it would be a bit hard to say because how much and what, because it's at the end of the day a guesstimate, right? So we typically try to have at least 15% of a year's revenue as a target to roll out new products, right? So but then I think the real challenge is so even if you roll something out, how are you able to get the right kind of the sales uplift in the market, right? Which is a bit of a challenge in growing and driving in this COVID environment. So there have been interruptions in our ability to roll them out either on time or to develop them on time. So those have been some of the interruptions, right? So I think that's one part of it. When it comes to large appliances, I think you're referring to hoods and knobs and water purifiers. So water purifiers we have launched on what I would say e-com, and we are getting good traction. We have one platform, and shortly we are about to launch another platform. That's progressing on course. I think we are having some challenges in hoods and knobs, so that's fundamentally related to the sourcing side. I think getting supply out of China on time and in quantities that we would want has been a challenge. So there we are a bit behind our plan, in terms of the product acceptance, the ratings, they are all positive, but in terms of our ability to meet the plan, that is a challenge. Yeah? On the other hand, in case of water purifiers, we are moving ahead of plan. So I think if you look at it, the large appliances as a portfolio, we are broadly on schedule. But our ability to activate these actions, right, both on time and across channel, and particularly by active front end engagement, that's a bit of a challenge. But things are getting better. Last 2 to 3 months, our sales force is again becoming active, and we are watching things from the ground, and but it's still going to take some time before the market working is going to normalize. So that's how I would put it, right? So.
Thank you for your answer and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Naval from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. I have one question. In your presentation, you have stated that out of the total top line growth of 46%, 20% is price growth, while on the price increases, you have stated on YOY basis, it is 10%. So is my understanding correct over here that this additional 10% would have come from mix improvement, premiumization, or something of that sort?
No, the thing is, wire has a 40% price growth, and wire is about 25% of the turnover. So that accounts for the balance 10%.
Okay. And secondly, while you have explained in detail on price hikes, but any quantum you want to share, like in fans, you have stated seasonal product and it will be taken in subsequent quarters, but any quantum at current juncture, if commodity stays where it is, what kind of price hike would be needed in fans?
I can't say that now. It is a moving thing, and it's also a competitive action. So.
Sure. Thank you and all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Achal Lohade from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the follow-up opportunity, sir. Just wanted to check in terms of the secondary sales tracking. If you can elaborate a bit as to if the secondary sales are being tracked and to what extent, and what are we doing with respect to the distribution part?
Yeah, Ram, you want to take the?
Yeah. So I think I will address both parts. I think earlier also there was a question on that, right? So fundamentally, we are able to say that our inventories have not gone up because the secondary sales data that we are collecting, it is consistent with what I would say our long-term retail inventory. Yeah? So I think the trade inventory is quite fine. I think we have a what I would say, we have a system for gathering secondary data, both inventory and sellout, and which is now being technology enabled. I think as we speak, I think the technology enabled part is about 40 to 50% of our revenue will be technology enabled. where we have 100% visibility on sellout and inventory. Yeah. But this is still ongoing, and it will take some time before we get to about at least 75 to 80% of the revenue being captured on the technology enablement side. See, on the distribution side, I think our as we went post COVID 1 and again with COVID 2 coming in, mainly our focus has been to what I would say, build and establish business through our existing relationships because of the uncertainty in the market, right? And to which even trade partners are exposed, and many geographies we have been curtailing essential travel for large part of this period. And by the time it comes out of this curtailment and we start normal working, then we had the next wave the last time. So I think the activities in terms of spreading distribution thus far have been limited in terms of acquiring new customers. So it's more on a maintenance mode, I would say, rather than on a aggressive expansion mode as far as the distribution expansion is concerned. But as far as the sellout management is concerned, I think we are doing work in that area, and we made significant progress in terms of putting into place what I would say influencer and a promoter management system and a secondary management system. So these three technology enabled systems we have been working on over the last 1 year, and these are in place, but the penetration of these is in different stages. Somewhere we made about 50 to 60% progress versus target, and in some places we are at 25 to 30% of target, right? Depending on the stage of development or the stage of rollout these are in. But these are very much on the way to roll out, and I think in a year's time we should have a very strong grip on what's happening inside the trade compared to, let's say, where we were about pre-pandemic.
Got it. So one more question I had was with respect to the competitive intensity. Now we've seen that the smaller or regional or unorganized players were impacted severely actually in COVID times. So are you seeing the situation is normalized? They are coming back in the market, and the kind of market share gains the organized players had. Do you think that substantial part of that would be retained by the organized players, or you think we could see the market share give up?
So there are two views which are coming, right? So there is a market view which is driven by presence in the market, and there is another view which is coming from the backside, which is coming from talks with let's say vendors or talks with people on the investment banking side and all that. So there are so one thing is so what we find when we when we hear from the backend side, I think the regional competition, smaller players are significantly impacted financially and operationally, right? So they're having working capital challenges and those kinds of. So I think that's what we are seeing and hearing. If you look at the front end, from a presence point of view, they are present and they are visible, but the severity is not as visible as what we can what we see and what we hear from the back end. So I think there is an operational perspective, which is their presence in the market and their activities in the market. I think it is weaker compared to what it was before. But the insight that we are getting from the back end, I think a number of them are significantly impacted.
Understood. And just one more, just a clarification in terms of the margins part. Given the kind of cost inflation we are seeing and the price increases we have taken or planning to take, you think we would be able to maintain a double-digit margin in the coming quarters and years?
Sudarshan?
Double-digit EBITDA margin, yeah, that is possible. I mean, even this quarter we have a 10+ margin. That should be okay.
Understood. And just one with respect to the tax rate, what is the tax rate one could look at for FY 22-23, and especially given our improving in-house manufacturing and the tax benefits, what is the tax rate one could look at, on a steady state?
Steady state, we should look at 25% tax rate.
Okay.
The new subsidiary will, once it becomes operational and, all that, there will be some slight benefit which comes from there. So it could go to sub 25 at that point, but 25 is a good number to have.
Even for FY 22-23, sir?
Yeah, FY 23, yes.
Understood. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bhavin Vitlani from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
It's just continuing the question of the previous participant. You had guided for a 50 basis point per annum increase in the margins every year. So, in your view, are you on track for that for the current financial year and the next?
I
think,
can I answer that?
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. So I think if you look at our overall performance, right, there are two drivers, which have affected our margin performance vis-a-vis our long-term journey and guidance, right. One is, I think last 2 years, summers have been bad, and therefore, our AC stabilizer business has not performed as it would normally perform. So there is some amount of profitability contribution which is coming from that, and that we've not been able to benefit both the years, because see, AC stabilizer, air cooler, so these are products, when the trigger is very strong, it's consumed, and after season, people can manage with a fan or whatever. So I think so that's part of the reason why we are seeing some erosion in our margin, because it's our bread and butter product also. The other part of it is related to fan and water heater. Related to that, there are actions which are planned, and these actions some have been rolled out, and some will get rolled out as we speak. Yeah. Mithun, sorry, over to you.
Yeah, I think in the current year, especially with this kind of a cost inflation, we are not sure whether we can expand margins, but we also had a bad start to the year. I mean, last 2 years consecutively, if you look at stabilizer as a category, it has probably not grown, for last 2 years. So I think there is a little bit of mix issue also. So we'll see. I think we'll get a better handle on things once we finish Q4, because Q4 also can be a very good quarter, for AC stabilizers. So we are waiting for that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking my questions.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I now hand the conference over to Ms. Renu Baid for closing comments. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of IIFL Securities, I would like to thank the management for giving us the opportunity to host this conference call. I would now like to hand it over to Mithun for any of his closing remarks on the call. Mithun, thanks, and over to you.
Thank you. I would like to thank IIFL and Renu Baid for hosting this call, and I would like to once again wish all of you a very happy Diwali. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of IIFL Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.